In 43 days, in actually 42 days now, Pumpkin Tits will be leaving the White House. But Pumpkin Tittism, however, isn't going to go anywhere. Republicans who value their political careers or their own safety are finding it impossible to publicly admit the obvious fact that President-elect Joe Biden won the election by millions of votes. The Georgia U.S. Senate candidate Kelly Loeffler repeatedly dodged the question at a Sunday debate, following Pumpkin Tits' false claims that the previous night of a stolen election, which the election wasn't stolen. In the Washington Post survey, only 27 of 249 Republican federal lawmakers have publicly acknowledged that Biden had won. Local officials, many of them Republicans who nevertheless confirmed Biden's state victories, have shown far more courage and integrity than Washington leaders, but the denialism comes with a potential danger. An armed pro-45 nut-looking group showed up at the house of a senior Democratic official that was involved in certifying results in Michigan, and a Republican official in Georgia who helped certify the results there has publicly warned that the squatters' rhetoric will get somebody killed. Pumpkin Tits is already calling for loyalists to oust former allies like Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, who put the Constitution before fealty to the squatter. There are two theories about what happens next. The Orange Fuckweasel's influence could ebb once he is deprived of his platform in politics and moves on without him, or he can be exiled to his gold-plated palace in Florida, and will the former squatter still hold the GOP in his thrall, hinting that he may run again in 2024, hopefully not, and acting as a queen in other races. Even if Pumpkin Tits fades away, the corrosive elements of his creed, assaulting truth, undermining the integrity of elections, desecrating good governance, demonizing the media, and disdaining science and fact, it would take years to flush all of this out of American politics. But the winter holiday gatherings are expected to only fuel America's rising coronavirus case numbers, but this time the nature of the surge is different. And U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams told ABC's George Stephanopoulos that this surge is different than earlier surges because it's not about PPE, it's not about testing, it's really about health care capacity in certain places that are just being overwhelmed. Picture the scene 50 years hence. A future squatter overheating after a tough three-setter seeks shelter from Washington's pounding climate change. Changed heat in an elegant tennis pavilion with marbled columns and a copper roof that looks remarkably like the White House itself. That sweaty commander-in-chief will have outgoing First Lady melanoma to thank for the respite from DC's soupy summers. The newly unveiled pavilion requests as one of her most noticeable legacy items as she prepares to leave the mansion. The tennis court is on the South Lawn and not far from where the former First Lady Michelle Obama's kitchen garden. Former President Obama had pressed it into service as a different kind of court for basketball rather than tennis. The announcement about the privately financed pavilion reflects the polarizing and enigmatic nature of the current First Lady. When she posted on social media about the project in March, she was accused of tone deafness as the pandemic accelerated, as CNN's Kate Bennett reported. She now risks committing a double fault by trumpeting its completion as COVID-19 lays siege to America's health and the economy during a horrific winter break. On the other hand, the often reclusive first skank is simply fulfilling a role adopted by many of her predecessors, updating and maintaining the White House and its facilities, as she did with another controversial project overhauling Jackie Kennedy's design for the White House Rose Garden. Unlike her predecessors, she would not be remembered much for social projects and other initiatives. Her Be Best campaign hasn't made much of an impression. Its partial focus on online bullying also raises inevitable charges of hypocrisy, given that her husband authors one of the world's most incendiary Twitter accounts. But there's little sign that melanoma loses sleep over what everyone thinks about her pavilion. And words of the slogan dubbed on her jacket during a notorious visit to detained immigrant children. People are thinking, I really don't care, do you? Americans that are desperate for pets to cuddle through the lonely months of social distancing are increasingly falling victims to fraud. Instead, the number of reported pet scams, mostly involving young puppies, has more than doubled since the pandemic began, costing victims more than $3 million worldwide. According to the Better Business Bureau, a quarantine puppy or other pet has proven to be a comfort for many people, but it's also created a fertile ground for fraudsters. Michelle Corey, the BBB's St. Louis president and CEO, said in a news release. So if you do like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Rambling Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.